Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Self-Achievement Group, the Self-Achievement Channel. My name is Dominic. In this session, I'm going to be talking about no limit or, possibility thinking. You know how it is. You want to do something, you want to really go for it. You think about purchasing some sort of a get-rich-quick, make-money program online, and you hear about a friend that did that, and a few months later, the whole thing went down the tubes. And it's not because the program didn't work, it was because the way that they were thinking about the whole thing, they got excited, yeah. They saw the dollar signs. Ooh, yeah, that was really enticing, of course. Yeah, but their brain really wasn't in the game. And so this really is, this session is really about thinking, getting your brain retrained or reprogrammed. It's really not that hard to do, okay? To begin to have this no limit possibility thinking. There's billions of quotes online about you can do anything and you have no limits in the world. But until you put it practically, it's easy to read these quotes and like them and share them. But the reality is, you have to get your brain in a very routine type of thinking, okay? I can tell you a couple of stories. In my 30s, okay? I was working with as a volunteer in a personal development organization, and I was going through these different little mini workshops, learning how to set goals, and I had this binder, and I had all these great goals written out, and some of the people that had been there before me were planning trips and going on vacations together and doing things that I wanted to do that I wasn't able to do yet, because even though I had learned to write down my goals, I wasn't really completing them yet. So it was me being jealous, watching them take these trips and do all. So one time, I remember there was a group that was going to go to Mexico, and they were going down to play tennis, and I was like, I really wanted to go really bad. And we used to have these open forums and talk about it, and everybody knew that I didn't have the resources yet available to go take this trip. So anyway, they all left on this trip, and I was just, for some reason, at that time frame in my life, I was fuming. I was upset. I was pissed off that I wasn't smart enough to create the resources and wasn't invited to go. And so when they all got back, I was just still in this mindset. I was so insecure back then. I was so upset, and they were all asking me, so what's wrong? What's the problem? Things are going good. The skies are blue. Everything is, happy. And I'm like, no, I'm pissed off. You guys didn't even invite me. And they were like, well, we knew you couldn't go because you didn't have the resources. But it wasn't because they didn't invite me. It was because I just wasn't where I wanted to be yet. And there were a couple of times I can remember that I was working, even though I had my goals written down, and I was working to do individual tasks every day, that I still wasn't achieving, even after months and months of working on them, because I didn't have my brain in that mindset. Like I could really do it. I was only like hoping that I was going to reach my goals. It wasn't that I knew that I was going to do it. There's a big difference, right? So I just want to give you some quick ideas and share some ideas with you that I had been through in the past that actually worked, okay? And it started with me writing things down on paper. So, if your normal way of thinking isn't really in alignment with where you want to go and what you want to do, it's going to be a lot harder. You think, you've got a lot of energy and everything, and I want to make sure that you understand that I don't think that you're lazy. I really don't think that. I think that most people aren't really lazy. It's just that they don't have a really solid plan to work from, so they don't know what to do, what the next step to do is. So where it all starts is to begin to think about, what are my possibilities? And I learned to look out further than sooner. And so what I want to talk about for the next few minutes is 5 years. What about 5 years from now? Where would you really want to be ideally? And if you I mean, imagine that you have no limitations, that you have already in place the resources available to you to make this all come true. So even though you don't, or you may not, just put that off to the side right now and allow yourself the opportunity to think from this like no limitation, all possibility perspective, right? Thinking that way, because that, there's a lot of different areas in life that we could talk about. Let's just focus on one of them right now. So you could think about your health. You could apply this to your health. You could apply this to your career, your family, investing money, travel, your savings account, whatever it might be. But this one is just about the financial part of your life, because I'd like to talk about that one first, because it's usually the one that trips people up the most, is the money, right? I don't have the money. I don't have enough money. I mean, it's the same thing for me. I could think about things that I want to do 5 years from now. I don't have the money yet, okay? But I'm going to have the money, or at least I'm going to get close to it, or maybe even exceed it, right? But I'm at least going to plan a little bit to get myself going in that direction with thinking that everything is possible. So what I want you to do for a moment is to think about your ideal, perfect financial life 5 years from now. Your ideal, perfect financial life. You notice how when you start to think about that, the brain, like things start to get foggy? It's true, right? So you have to hone in, you have to focus in, dial in, allow your brain to think about what the possibilities, and it happens through questions, okay? So think about your ideal, perfect financial situation in 5 years, right? So here's some questions that you could ask yourself. These are not the only ones. I challenge you to create your own set of questions. Expand your ask yourself questions that'll expand your thinking, okay? So you could write these down or not. I'll post them after this online so that you can have them. So the purpose of all this, just to make sure that we're clear. Hi, Sally. Again, there you are, always committed. You're the best. We're talking about no limit possibility thinking and asking yourself the right questions. And today is focused on financial, right? So it could be about health. It could be about travel. It could be about just about anything. But these are about financial. And I'll have other little webinars to help focus in on those different areas in the future. But right now it's about financial. So allow yourself to think about 5 years from now. How much will you be earning 5 years from now? Now, you might think, well, how the hell do I know? You don't know, really. You could think about it from the perspective of realistically, based on the conditions that you've created right now. So realistically, how much will you be earning in 5 years based on what you have going on right now? So if you project that path out, right, how much will you be earning? The same amount, maybe 10% more, 20% more, 50% more, depending on the plan that you have, right? So realistically, and then think about it from the potential, right? So how much earning potential do you have? Well, you have limitless potential. Well, that's true, but you haven't maybe not yet put some plans in place to create that opportunity, maybe through a business project or something online, something like that. It's really exponential, and the truth is you have to look at it realistically, and you have to look at it potentially based on what you're planning on or have already put in place, okay? So how much will you be earning 5 years from now? Write it down. And you may not know an exact number, and it may be twice the amount, but come up with a number and write it down on a piece of paper or put it on, a spreadsheet or something, somewhere where you can refer to it. Right? So it's about reprogramming your brain. And the whole purpose of this exercise is to get the energy going, right? To get the mind thinking in the direction, to speed things up, So most of the time what happens is that we go through life on sort of a, kind of a daily, mode, and we don't speed things up. And if you really want to get ahead, you need to speed things up. And so, okay, so that's the first question. Think about the lifestyle that you're going to have in 5 years. 5 years. We talked about this a little bit the other day, the lifestyle. Are you going to be traveling? Are you going to be living in the city? Are you going to be living in the country? What kind of house do you want to have? You know, what kind of car do you want to be driving? Are you going to be married? Are you going to have children? Are you going to still be single? Are you going to be divorced? I mean, there's lots of possibilities. But in 5 years, right now, let's just pause that for a second. You don't have to show this to anybody, right? So if you're married and you're like secretly planning to get divorced, well, then you can write that down, but you need to start making some plans to move yourself in that direction. So, you know, anything is possible. So it's about thinking with no limits. What is my potential? What do I really want my life to be? Will I be traveling? Am I going to have children, married, single, living in the city, in the country? Wherever you think that you want to be in 5 years, write it down, because your brain is going to lock into the picture that you're creating for yourself, and the function of the mind is to create that. You know, you could write down that you want to live in a barn someplace, in a haystack, and the brain will lock onto that and it'll create that too. And you see these people on the street that live in these boxes, right? They're creating that. They don't know that though. They're creating that, all that in their head. That's why they're in that situation. Oh, well, no. You want to buy into that? Okay, sure, if you want to, but they have very limited thinking in the way that they piece it together in their head. So of course they piece it together that way, so their brain creates that. It's not like it's magic, okay? So the next question, third question, what kind of home will you live in? You're going to live in the city in a box? Are you going to have a big apartment somewhere? Are you going to be living, some house? I mean, think about it that way. Just write it down. What kind of car, motorcycle, boat will you have? What kind of recreational vehicles, if that's what you want, right? Write down all of the potential stuff that you could possibly want in 5 years. Material possessions, things that you want to provide for your family. My son-in-law and my daughter just put in a pool last year for their kids. My parents put a pool in for us when we were growing up. That's the kind of stuff that we want to provide. You may think right now, well, I don't have the money to do it. Well, maybe in a few years, if you begin to put it together in your head, you will, right? And not even maybe, you will, because you can do it. Everything is possible, right? So maybe they need computers or a car. What do they need? What do you need? What do you deserve? Think about that and then write it down. Think about your savings account. Now, your savings account is different from your investments, right? Savings account is for things so that you could enjoy the life that you have, right? So maybe you want to travel. That was a big thing for me. I've always been about traveling. Don't ask me why. If it was between buying a motorcycle and going on a vacation, I'd go on a vacation just like that. Of course, I would like to have a motorcycle. I don't have one because I can afford one, but I don't want to have one right now. I had one in the past and I almost killed myself a couple of times. Anyway, so it's savings. How much savings do you want or need to have in the bank so that you could live the lifestyle that you want? And you may not know exactly, so you just write it down. It's X number of thousands of pounds or dollars or euros or whatever it may be for you. Write it down. So if you're going to have a certain type of a lifestyle, you need to have a certain amount of money. How committed are you to having that amount of money in the bank? And that's really what it gets down to, is your commitment, your level of curiosity to make it happen, and your hunger to create it. Okay? So just write it down. How much will you be investing each month or each year? Is it going to be in the stock market? Is it going to be, not a bank, because who knows about banks, right? Is it going to be in real estate or a startup? Something like that. So how much money do you think that you could potentially be investing? So these are just some questions that you could ask yourself. Here's another good one. How much will you be worth when you retire? Now that's like not 5 years, but that could be maybe 15, 20, 30 years out there. That's one of those way far out there questions. How much do you want to be worth? And there's a whole new set of questions that you could be asking yourself to think that far out. There are people that do that. People that do career planning and life planning and estate planning, that they get people to think that far out, and it's really difficult. But right now, let's just stay focused on 5 years. So Yeah, how much you want when you retire? That's a far out question. How old will you be? That's another good question when you want to retire. So some people, you know that they're very young in their 20s and 30s, and they just stop and then they just do things and they still continue to make money because they've created that possibility. No limit thinking, possibility thinking. So this is just to get your mind going. Imagine that you have a magic wand, right? Something, Harry Potter, and you can just go poof. Genie lamp, right? The genie is in here. It's not outside. This is your lamp. This is your container. The genie that makes everything happen is all up in your head. So pretend that you have that thing in there that's going to create it. So just know that you can write something down and you can also erase it. It's not like you have to be totally committed to it. And yes, write down anything that you want. You can create an ideal life if you want by defining your ideal future on paper. There's I've got a workbook that I'm putting together so that it's a lot easier to write things down so that they're a little bit more in order. Excuse me, I have an alarm going off. In order, and so these are just little bits and pieces. There's solutions to all the problems out there. The question is, are you willing to go after it? Are you willing to learn and to figure out what it takes in order to create the ideal future that you want? And this is not a bunch of, theoretical stuff. It's the practical application is by you sitting down and defining it. And I've said it many times over the years. It's not so much even writing it down. That's very important. That's essential. But the most important part is to make yourself go through the process of thinking about it. Again, the mind is very powerful. The mind can create anything. So I'm at the age now where I have traveled so much around the world and I've met so many people. I want to say I've been fortunate, but the truth is I've created it. And I'm not done. So right now what I'm working on is creating this online thing so that I can have the flexibility to go and be anywhere around the planet and not be locked into one location. So I can do this from anywhere, generate a little bit of income, and right, it's all possible. Anything's possible, especially with the internet these days. So there's a solution to all the problems. Even though you may feel that it's a huge mountain, you have to become willing to figure it out. And it's not that complicated. You just begin by writing down the possibilities, the potential that you have, where you want to go. If you're hungry enough, you're going to find the answers and things are going to come true. So let me just check the time. I've been on for about 15-20 minutes. I will post these questions so that you have them, and just know that this is just a small piece of what's to come. That's all that I have for this particular sessions. And the next session is going to be on, on the 1st of April. I can't remember what day that is. I've got some new stuff coming up talking about relationships. Let's see that I have here. Monday. It's Monday at 11:30. I will be talking about relationships and communication, why it's so important to create the right kind of bonds so that you have strong, powerful relationships in your life. It's not just about love relationships, it's about all relationships. So I'll be talking about that on Monday, 11:30, same time. If you have a special talent and you would like to present it here, please send me a message and let's talk. Maybe you can go live on here and share your ideas. If you have an idea, please send me a message and so I can think about it and we'll talk. No limit thinking here, right? Thank you for being here. If you learned something, you got value, as always, please make a comment below. And always remember, don't be a victim to anyone for any reason at any time, because you're not a victim. You have the power to control everything in your life, to respond to all the circumstances. You have that power. May not always be easy. We know that, but you have the power to respond. So, stay curious, my friends. My name is Dominic. This is the Self-Achievement Group / channel. I think I'm going to be on YouTube, so they call that a channel. Thank you for being here, and bye for now. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Sally, for being here.